Elizabeth at A Literary Princess. If you are new here, welcome. I'm a 6-year PhD candidate in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists, and as you might expect, I love to read. Today I have a currently reading video for you, which is coming very late in the month. I try to do these like in the middle of the month. Sometimes they happen early on in the month. This is the last week of November. But I lost a week due to COVID and things have just been kind of crazy. So the currently reading video is coming at the end of the month. I am currently reading 3 books at the moment, 2 in print and 1 online, and 2 Victorian and 1 modern. So let's jump in. The first book is one that I am reading for dissertation research, and this is the autobiography of Harriet Martineau. Martineau? I think it's Martineau, since it's French. Like beau. Martineau. Okay, anyway. So this is obviously her autobiography, I believe published in 1870 something, but mostly written in the 1850s because she thought she had a fatal illness. So I am not quite halfway through. Well, I might be halfway through if you don't count the stuff in the back. So this is a Broadview press edition, and they always have some contextual stuff in the back, which in here includes contemporary reviews of the book, obituaries of Martineau, and portraits of her, which is really fun. And I actually am going to read all of those because Margaret Oliphant was one of the original reviewers of this book, and I am actually reading this book to talk about it in relation to Oliphant's autobiography. So yeah, I am 329 pages into, if we're not counting the index, which I wouldn't, or the works cited, which I would not, 737, so a little less than halfway. I'll be honest, I'm kind of skimming this a bit. Some parts are very, very interesting, especially when she's talking about her disability. Martineau was deaf, so that is fascinating. The stuff in her childhood has also been quite interesting, but she talks a lot about like just different literary people that she met. And some of those are more interesting to me than others. Like, I really skimmed heavily when she was talking about Thomas Carlyle. You know, there was another one though that I was really interested in, and I paid closer attention to it, and now I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was this scandal with Fraser's Magazine where they were like sending out letters, like pretending to ask for character references for a servant, like of a servant that the famous author had never had, and seeing like how the author would respond back. Super weird, but it was super fascinating. So yeah, you know, some parts are more interesting than others. I'm obviously very interested when she's talking about her own writing life and kind of the way she presents herself, which is really what I am looking at in Oliphant's biography. So understanding kind of how different women writers at different times were presenting themselves in autobiographical material. So it is interesting, but you know, sometimes I'm skimming it a bit. Next up is a fairy tale retelling, and this is The Mirror Season by Anna Marie McLemore. This is a very loose retelling of the fairy tale The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen, and it is following a girl named, and I'm probably going to be butchering some pronunciations because I don't speak Spanish, Ciela, and a boy named Locke. And on the same night at a party, they both are assaulted. And while Ciela remembers everything, Locke does not. This is them kind of navigating their trauma, but also their relationship with each other, and going back to school for the start of the school year and having to see these people that assaulted them like every day. So obviously there's some heavy trigger warnings here. It is really good so far. I love Mick work. They always have just such interesting takes on the fairy tales and weaving in Mexican culture. Their Blanca and Roja was probably my favorite so far, but the Dark and Deepest Red was excellent too, and I'm really enjoying the Mirror season so much. I am honestly almost done. I think I probably have like a third of it left. Page 196 out of 308. So I'll be finishing this soon. Maybe I'll be finishing this today. I don't know. But I am really enjoying it so far. And the kind of the way that the fairy tale is woven in, it is very slight. There's references to the fairy tale, The Snow Queen, like Ciela mentions knowing the fairy tale. But then there's also this idea that comes from the beginning of the fairy tale, The Snow Queen, of this shattered mirror and the glass like getting into people's hearts and kind of making them cold and making them do bad things or not so pleasant things. It's interesting. But yeah, very good so far. Sorry if you can hear a bunch of noise. They are leaf blowing the parking lot, which is weird to me, but yeah, that's what that noise is, if you can hear it in the background. So the final book that I am reading is Sisters of Charity, Catholic and Protestant Abroad and at Home by Anna Jameson. This is actually a lecture. Jameson is a Victorian writer, very early in the Victorian period. And this lecture is kind of about women, the kind of work women do and why they should be allowed to do it outside of just their home, and kind of viewing working women as doing things that extend from the ideals of the domestic woman. So this idea that yes, a woman nurtures and nurses at home, but then she also goes and does that for the community. It's really interesting so far. I'm only about 13 pages in. It's pretty short because, again, it's a lecture. The Goodreads says 174 pages, but the copy I have is much shorter than that. So I can probably finish that today too. I am reading this also for research, for my Oliphant chapter that I'm currently revising, about how some women kind of chose to define writing as a career as an extension of their domestic duties. And so I'm just trying to get some context around that to kind of contextualize what Oliphant is doing in her autobiography. So I've never read anything by Jameson before, so this is good. It's interesting. It's pretty easy to read because, again, it was a lecture. She actually spoke this, so it couldn't be too long or too dense. That is what I am currently reading. Let me know down in the comments below. Have you read any of these? What did you think? What are you reading right now? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.